episode number 230 of the Wholesome Fertility Podcast. My guest today is Tori Quisling. Tori is a recognized clairvoyant therapist and author for over 35 years and has been featured on the Today Show, CBS News, and more. Tori is also certified by Marisa Peer in the Rapid Transformational Therapy Hypnotherapy method. Tori uses all her experience and skills to assist clients with fertility, anxiety, life purpose, past life regression, and more. Her reading and RTT sessions address and transform goals, purpose, relationships, health, past and future. She teaches intuitive and psychic development in private classes, and she also offers her services nationally and internationally on Zoom. Welcome to the Wholesome Fertility Podcast. I'm Michelle, a fertility acupuncturist here to provide you with resources on how to create a wholesome approach to your fertility journey. So excited to welcome you on the podcast, Tori.
Thank you. So good to be here, and I'm excited to speak all about babies.
Yes, I'm so excited. So I'd love for you to share your story and how you figured out that you had this talent of connecting it with your intuition and helping so many people with conception and fertility.
Yes. Well, I've been a clairvoyant practitioner for over 36 years. So back in the 1980s, I was at the Berkeley Psychic Institute in California and learned all about baby spirits in those classes. Of course, I was way too young to be interested personally in them, but accept that they're around us. So as I got older and was practicing as a psychic I practiced as a psychic in New Orleans and California, and then I moved to New York. I started to have clients that were really interested in having a baby. So I took all my background in how to communicate with baby spirits, understand female energy. It's called female creative energy with the uterus and ovaries. We have that special, and mediumship, ability to channel spirit through us and, communicate with the spirit. It gave them so much confidence, my clients. This is before I wanted a baby. And they had so much confidence that the baby was there. So a doctor could tell them anything and they would be like, no, I know my baby's there. I know it's coming in, whatever you want to say. And they started to get pregnant and attribute it to the tools we were learning, from grounding to connecting to spirit, to finding our own spiritual vibration and frequency to match the baby. And so there was a lot of understanding that assisted these ladies. And then all of a sudden I got into the baby zone, I call it. I coin it as the baby zone, like the Twilight Zone, my favorite show.
I love it.
Yeah, because it's like do. All of a sudden, I was 35 years old and I'd been married, but I hadn't been interested. I was just in my career. I was a teacher in public schools and a psychic, and had a psychic school. And all of a sudden I wanted a baby. And I saw the little boy in my dreams. I just felt him. I wanted him. And I had never been a baby person. I didn't even like babysitting. But I was a teacher. I was a teacher. That's different than a babysitter. But I wanted a baby. I had to have a baby. And in my video here, this is what they look like when they're in the area in between, where we were in between, and they hover around you. They realize that you're available, kind of like a taxi with a light on, like you're available. And all of a sudden I was available. So it's a very distressing time, the baby zone. Really nothing else matters. You lose all interest in what you used to be interested in for yourself, and you just want a baby. Mm-hmm. So then I applied these techniques that I use. And then now I have also hypnotherapy technique, because I found we needed to go a little deeper. So I studied with Marisa Peer, and I'm an RTT therapist as well, which is a form of hypnotherapy. So I'm one of the mind-body therapists, like you do acupuncture and I do spiritual understanding tools, connecting to spirit, understanding your female energy, and hypnosis.
Yeah, I learned about her on Mind Valley, and she's really great. She's so interesting. And so let's talk about RTT actually.
Sure.
What is it? How does it work? And how does it differentiate, or how is it different from just conventional hypnotherapy?
Yeah. Well, she has the book. I have a book, Calling in Your Baby, which is a clairvoyant guide to manifesting your pregnancy. I've had this for years, for about 15 years. And then Marisa has her book, Trying to Get Pregnant and Succeeding. And I found there was a lot of overlap. And so she's really wrote a book and applies rapid transformational therapy to conception. What I
Mm,
found in my clients since I've been applying this to my ladies, what we found is that we are suggestible, all of us, and especially as
mm,
children. We have to take in suggestions about, and then we believe things. So if we have an event in our life, I had one client who she was forced to babysit an entire family of kids when she was 8 years old, 9 years old. She was stuck with all the younger cousins and stuff. And she, at that age, said, I am never having kids. This is crazy, because there weren't adults around. So she was really ill equipped and felt not enough. And Marisa really helps you to understand that whenever you feel not enough, especially as a child, you make decisions and beliefs in that moment saying, I'm never going to do this, or this is not me. And then those beliefs stick there until in your
mm,
subconscious through hypnosis, you go back and you stop those beliefs. So my lady, 8, she had made that decision with all those little cousins. I'm never having a baby myself. And that belief stayed with her. She'd never been pregnant all these years, never been pregnant. And all of a sudden, she cleared that through the techniques that Marisa has, which is very powerful. It's just a 2 hour session. And we
mm.
go back, find at least 3 scenes where the some events took place where we formed emotions and beliefs as a child, which are permanent. When we're children, everything's permanent and personal. And then from her point of being in her 40s, said, that's not me. Stopped it.
Right.
I want a baby now, and I am enough. I can manage children. I am old enough. I'm a woman. Yeah. And so then that was able to clear her. What we find is that once you have an understanding of these unexplained blocks that, the doctor says you're fine, everything should be fine. But for some reason, there's a delay. Once you pull out those blocks, you have an understanding of what thoughts might be blocking you or beliefs, then you get more relaxed. You feel more frisky. You are more available to receive the baby. Yeah. And with my clients, we always talk about the birds and the bees. You got to go do that.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Yeah.
want to be available to that. And the first thing I ask my clients when I first meet them is, have you ever been pregnant before? And a lot of times they'll say no, even though they've been with the same person for years, or they've always been sexual. And I'm saying the body's listening to you. The body's really, so you need to go in, tell the body that you do want to get pregnant now. Yeah. And because there was something that you said, I'm not getting pregnant. Even when you take contraceptive, every time you take a little pill, you're giving your body the suggestion, um,
Mm-hmm.
having a baby. And so the body agrees, it follows it. Yeah, like a placebo
Right.
effect. Yeah.
Oh,
And so
yeah,
you
for
have to go
sure.
in and change that. You have to go in there and tell it differently, but also understand where it came from in the first place. And that it just changes the way you interact and become more available to getting pregnant. Even with IVF, I work with a lot of women with IVF, and the body can just have a switch that you turn on that says, now I'm ready. Yeah. Yeah, the thing about being a child, and Marisa teaches that in RTT, is that when you're a child, 0 to 12, and I've even seen 0 to 16, everything's personal. Everything's happening to
Mm-hmm.
you is personal. We don't identify those adults as dysfunctional. It must be about us,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And I taught
totally.
children too as an elementary teacher. And everything is permanent. This is how it is, right? So our beliefs become
Yeah.
permanent. Yeah. So they believe I'm the kind of person that's never going to have kids. And, then that just sits in there. until you, through the subconscious, go in and redirect that and tell the body that you're ready. Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
RTT therapy also helps with physical issues. I had one woman who had endometriosis. So we first did the hypnosis around that. And what hypnosis does is it's a guided visualization, but it's also it's a way to instruct the body. So you want to instruct the body what you want it to do. So she would instruct the uterus lining to stay where it's supposed to stay, to do what it's supposed to do, and the body listens. It really does, especially when you're in hypnosis. And then we have an audio that you listen to for 3 weeks to really reinforce it. Um, and her baby was born in December. It's very exciting. And the other thing is she's single. So it was IVF, pure miracle.
Yeah.
and
Amazing.
yeah, so everything worked. Um, and so we did about conception, and we also did about her fear of the hospital. So we can do several sessions about all the different fears, because sometimes if it's your second child or you've had experience in the hospital, you might be afraid, your body's afraid of ever having to do it, that the birthing process. So then there's a hypnobirthing audio that's made to listen to while you're in the process. And clearing the fear, telling the body it's going to be different this time. This is the way we're going to do it. This is how it's going to work. Yeah. Yeah. So our mind and our body are powerful. The mind body connection is everything. And then the spiritual component that I have always offered, which is when you connect with the baby spirits, it just gives you that playfulness. It gives you that confidence, that hope. And I've had so many women send me pictures of their child at 3 or 4 years old, saying, "This is how I vision them in
Oh,
the vision
wow.
playground." I have mothers go to the playground, and it's an astral playground where all the babies are, and they go and find their child, like a mother picking up their child at the playground. And so I help in the reading of that and the listening, and give them confidence to do that on their own. Yeah. So, and then instruct them when they're intimate with their partner. They instruct them. We have going down the slide and different things to instruct these baby spirits on how to get in.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I know that, especially with like beliefs, sometimes it's really simple to
Mm-hmm.
just talk to yourself or to revisit something that is within yourself, or just even the awareness by itself can make such a difference. I know for me,
Yeah.
when I was younger, when I started acupuncture, it was like a pivotal time, but it wasn't just the acupuncture. I also read the book by Joseph Murphy that was The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And he talked about how the subconscious mind is really like our servant. It actually is our, it basically is like as you wish, our little genie that is there. And our conscious mind, or it's kind of part of the subconscious mind, where we repeat things over and over and over again, these beliefs. It says, okay, well, this is what I have to work with, and that's what's going to happen. And then it just keeps perpetuating. And also, you had mentioned how the mind and body are so powerful. Well, of course, I mean, the body is part of that subconscious mind.
Yes, absolutely. And all the answers are in your body. The interesting thing is, I can have my clients do affirmations and I'm fertile, a baby's on the way. And, that can go into the audio after the hypnosis session just to really confirm that. But if I apply my intuitive and psychic teaching skills to with my client, you start to ask clairvoyant questions. What does it look and feel like for me to be fertile? And then you can eat, why am I so fertile? Right. And then the body will say, oh, because of this, this, and this. And all of a sudden now you're being fertile. Right. So you want to be in that place where you mentioned Mind Valley when you saw
Mm-hmm.
Marisa Peer. The owner of Mind Valley, I can't think of his name right now, but he talks about too. You can take affirmations further, not just saying I'm fertile, a baby's on the way. Those are very powerful, but then you can say, why is a baby on the way?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have a baby already here? And you can say, because I'm interested, I'm spontaneous, I'm excited, I'm ready. All those things make you more confident and make you become what you want to be, right? Because the universe answers who we are rather than what we want. So
Right.
I'm
Totally.
fertile. Why am I fertile? Oh, yeah, because everything's working the way it should. Yeah. And in that way, you start to have more confidence. And really, I'm sure this you're part of this too. Any mind body therapist, which we both are, is going to ease the stress, which brings on fertility. You feel
Correct. Yeah.
supported. Yeah, we help these women feel supported and seen and heard. And it's a spiritual experience as much as it's a medical one. I would say even more
Oh,
a medical
it,
one.
it really is. Yeah, and what I find too is I actually I talked about this before in the podcast of using both brains. We need both. If we just use one without the planning, and we have to use one that's realistic and then one that is realistic, meaning what has already been created, because I don't really believe that that's totally accurate of what reality is. We don't know yet, because I think we're such creators too. We
Oh,
can bring in things that have never been around. So if we
yeah,
get too caught up into that
yeah,
numbers game, where
yeah,
people do get caught up in that,
yeah,
especially when they're going to the doctor and starting a plan, all of that is great. It has, like, everything has its place.
yeah,
But when we get too heavy on one or the other, then we're not serving ourselves. And part of it, really, part of this whole journey is faith, having faith in our bodies,
yes,
despite what we're told, despite the numbers, because we're way more than numbers. Numbers are great for assisting and collecting some information, but
yeah,
it's just what we know now, and it's a useful thing in some cases, but it's not the answer. It is
yeah,
not the god of fertility. It just not. It is not. And when we get so attached to them, that's when I see people constrict. I literally see their bodies constrict when they tell me this. They
yeah,
come into my office and I could see it. It
yeah,
really makes them feel down and doubting themselves and questioning themselves and not sure how things are going to be.
yeah,
And that's where I start telling them all the stories of the same thing happening, and then people going on and having successful stories, because it is possible. If it's happened before, it could happen again for other
yeah,
people. And I like using stories to inspire hope. But yeah, sometimes by nature, the path of going through fertility challenges causes people to get so much into the data and the numbers, and what that could do is take you away from your own faith in your body.
yeah, definitely. I agree, and the suggestibility doesn't stop when we're children. That's why McDonald's
Yes.
advertise 100 times during one program you're watching, and programs
Mm-hmm.
are called programs. They're programming us.
Yeah.
So we're
Oh yeah.
always at the mercy of these suggestions. And if we have anything in us, like a belief that says, maybe I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve this, especially I'm not good enough, then a suggestion like, oh, you're over 35 is going
Right.
to stick to you. It's going to light you up, and
Of course.
majority of women have that in our culture, because we're on one end we're supposed to be all we can be in our career and go to college and do amazing things, but then oops, you waited too long, now you're 35 when you start to want to have a baby, and none of that's true. So you want to
Correct.
detach from those suggestions. And I found, even I had my son 20 years ago, there wasn't so much numbers. And now it's like when I to these women, it's like they've gone to medical school, telling me,
Yeah.
we don't have any business to know any of that. All we're doing is loving our bodies, being excited, being open, being available, and then
Mm-hmm.
clearing anything in us that you know is holding us back, and but not adding to that. But I
Right.
find that women are very stressed, especially around age. And
Oh
most
yeah.
women
Numbers.
years ago would have, my own grandmother had my uncle when she was 52. And that was just like a oops,
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but you hear those stories, and it's not unusual to have a baby older, a healthy one. Hmm. It's
Right.
actually normal these days. Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think that part of it is nocebo. And I think that when you hear those things, nocebo is kind of the opposite of placebo. When you hear
absolutely. Yeah.
something that's actually like suggesting that you
Yes.
can't or your body's not able to, or, those kind of things, you will start to believe that. And then your body will respond. And I think as a collective, we've all, and also, just to mention, that one of the ways that we get hypnotized is when we have an authority figure. That's one of the ways
The
that
doctor.
hypnosis
Yeah.
works really well, which
Hmm.
is why sometimes with hypnotherapy, you really want to establish rapport and trust. And
Yeah.
authority figures, we think about our parents. That's the
Yeah.
first authority figure that we've ever encountered as people and
Yeah.
humans. And those are during, like you said, an early age, we are so open to hypnosis. So
Yeah.
we kind of attribute that, or our minds open up to that. So, imagine.
I'm glad you brought that up because one of the lessons in my program is about your mother. And we want to, within the hypnotherapy session, the RTT session, there is a point to dialogue with your mom. Say, didn't do that great of a job, mom, or mom, I wish you had helped me more, or, whatever. But when there's another whole session that we do just about the mom that I've been doing for years, because you want to become a mother, you have to feel good about your mom. And the eggs that we have come from our mom. And so we want to own the eggs in our body. And so we want to be at peace with how we feel about our mom. And we want to be
Right.
updated in the current contract with our mom, not that we're feeling angry or resentful. There's then the part of us idea of mom isn't isn't positive. So our mind
Right.
always takes us away from pain. It always takes us away from discomfort. So we may find that we want to have a baby, but there's no time, or we've compartmentalized it, and that's because we want to clear our contract with our mom. And so I help
That's so interesting.
clients go visualize going into seeing their mom before they were born, and what did they see about their mom that they liked so much. And you'll see that it's like a faint visualization. It's not a deep hypnosis, but they can see, oh, my mom looked really busy, or my mom this or that. So they realize this baby spirits around them are watching them as well. And
Right.
I also see, what did you like about your mom? What was attractive about your mom? So they can see, oh, there's something attractive about me that this baby spirit wants. Um, because we were once a baby spirit. So we get a lot of information, and maybe what agreement did you make when you came into your mom's body? So you give me a body and I'll be your best friend. That's a lot of times the case.
Yeah.
And then you fail because you come in crying, needing diapers, completely dependent. You cannot be an adult best friend until you're 20.
Right.
So you feel failed at that. And then you think about, so we clear that so that it's upgraded to just being a witness and support to each other's growth, because now you're both women. And the other healing is then to tune into those baby spirits again and see what contract you want with those baby spirits. Really, it's just to let them be a child. You're an adult, you're going to take care of all your adult issues. They don't have to do anything except join you. And the women I work with are usually older. So they're not immature parents. They're going to be mature parents. They're going to be amazing parents because they already have established their own coping mechanisms. They are not calling in this baby to lean on, to be their confidant. Because a child, as you know, their nervous system cannot handle adult stuff. And
Right.
that's part of why we have trauma as adults, because our parents leaned on us prematurely. And
Yep.
and we weren't enough, and now we decide we're not enough. So when a doctor says, oh wow, you're probably not enough, you go, oh, I believe that. Instead
Right.
of, I
Yeah.
have a viable body, I have an amazing partner, let's go. I know I'm, you know, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we also have an intuitive like knowing that we ignore over the opinions of others. And sometimes, well, I know this because I have had them, but I witness it with my patients all the time. Like, they know that whatever is presented in front of them is not their story. It just doesn't feel right. And it really takes a lot of courage and faith
Yeah.
to believe your own intuition. And that's another thing, is like really believing your own intuition, and the intuition that connects with the spirit babies.
Yes.
That is a really that it's definitely a challenge for some people, especially if people are more analytical. And so what suggestion do you have? Somebody's really analytical and it's hard for them
Yeah.
to utilize that aspect of their mind. How can they start to get comfortable with that?
I always start with a like a clairvoyant baby journey, like a reading session, just to give some insights that resonate for my clients. So we
Yeah.
don't start with hypnosis, but we start with just a nice, soothing, hello to spirit, so they can start to feel at ease and healed. And then as they tune into the baby spirits, it's a lesson, they can realize, oh my gosh, they see so much about this little girl in their vision. And she gave me her name. And they start to get excited and they start to see that there is another dimension to this. I have a beautiful little story in my book, Calling in Your Baby, which is on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the tale of a village in Africa where the conception of a child begins with a thought in a mother's mind. And then she hears the song of that baby. And then she goes back and teaches her partner the song as they are intimate together. And they sing the song together to call in that baby. So it always starts as a thought in your mind. That is the conception. And then
Oh,
it's
wow.
and then as the baby is born, the midwife learns the song. And then as the baby grows, the child grows, everyone in the village knows the song, and that they stub their
That's
toe or
beautiful.
hurt themselves. As they get married, they sing each other's songs. And as they die, their song is sung for the last time. So it's a beautiful idea. So there's a lot of mindset techniques as well as hypnosis and visualization. When we talk about women, it's the female body and it's the female creative energy that I teach about, because we give it away since we're little. We just give it to everybody. So when we want to
It's true.
have a baby, we start to nest like any animal in the wild. We start to pull our energy back to ourselves. We don't want to go out as much. We're starting to nest. We're starting to get slowed down. And sometimes we're 40 when we start to nest. That's okay.
Right.
You've been
Yeah.
ready to go, and now all of a sudden, oh, I'm ready to have a baby. And that is the right time, because a lot of times conscious conception, which is what I work with, instead of just, oops, I'm pregnant, is conscious
Mm-hmm.
conception means that you are tuned into a high vibration being, spirit, and you're raising your energy, clearing and raising your energy to get to the point where you can be a match. And then the baby
Mm-hmm.
will come in. So in clairvoyant, to all different places, and to really understand that relationship with your mom. Let's see. And then, with mediumship too, you learn about what that is. You start to learn about your chakras and mediumship. And I have women that were very scientific at first, but as we learn the tools about grounding and understanding your body, when we do female creative energy, you want to ask your body, what does it need? Your female body. And I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women that are on gluten-free, sugar-free, meat-free diets, and the body might have a craving for something. Well, when
Mm-hmm.
you're pregnant, your body needs to trust that you're going to give it what it needs, and its needs are going to change. So you have to
Right.
prove to your body that I'm going to have a little bite of that, or I will have that because you asked me for it. And the body doesn't go crazy. It's not going to want a big bag of something. It's just going to want a bite.
Right.
So we
Yeah, that's true.
communicate to the female body. And I can see, I've worked with acupuncturists who are doing some nutrition and then the energy running in the body with the acupuncture. And then it goes really well with now the new understanding of how we are as in a female body. The uterus and ovaries form a system. It's their own system, and men don't have it. So it's like, what is this system we have? You got to understand it, ground it, own it, and say no to some extra projects, or, not give away your female energy.
I love that you're saying that about the energy because of late I've been really focusing on that and really bringing that up to a lot of my patients is it takes so much energy to conceive.
Yes.
And I think we're living in a world where just naturally our energy leaves us without us even realizing. And part of it is the mind and how
Absolutely.
we are programmed and how our attention, which is energy,
Yeah.
just gets sucked out. And it's also due to a lot of the technology. I think
Yeah.
it is conducive to a lot of leaked energy and leaked attention. So
Yeah.
it's really important. What we need to do is obviously we can't change the world, but what we need to do is be conscious and have a strategy in place and be proactive about plugging those energy leaks
Yes.
mentally, certain personalities, even Zoom, that's the natural thing. I'm on Zoom all the time and I have to like recharge myself, sometimes even getting a grounding mat, whatever.
Yeah.
Moments throughout the day, little reminders, because you can't avoid Zoom and you can't avoid just the natural craziness of the world today and all the technology and everything that takes your attention. But what you can do is be proactive and be aware and make it a point to put your energy on top of your priority
Yeah.
list. And then you were talking also about food, the same thing. If you get so restricted with a diet, then you're also losing sight of your own mind and your own
Yeah.
peace
Yes.
and your own ability to feel natural and change things up a little bit and all of that. So I
Yeah.
think that that's what happens. We kind of lose sight of the big
Yeah.
picture when we
Yeah.
get so hyper focused.
Yeah. When we decide to have a baby, we're in the baby zone. Usually it's not, it's kind of
Yeah.
out of our control. You want to tune into your female creative energy because it's a nesting phase. It's going to need something new, and going to continue to need, it's going to need extra rest. It's going to need all sorts of
Yeah.
things. It needs to know and trust you that you're going to listen to your body. Now,
Yeah.
many of the ladies I work with are in professional jobs like lawyers and doctors and things. And as a female professional, we tend to manage our energy differently than our male colleagues. So we might want to nurture someone in the office. If they're having a hard time, we go do the extra, we help them, we worry. So I
Mm-hmm.
tell my ladies that are professional to pull your energy back, show the body that you're listening and that you're going to be really putting the priority on what the body needs. And imagine your male colleague, how would he respond to that new trainee struggling? He'd probably be like, good luck. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in our female bodies, we're like extra, bringing them things, worrying, doing, okay,
Yeah.
no more of that. act like,
Yeah.
act like Bob at work
Right.
and come back.
Except nurture yourself. Bring that nurturing back in.
So you can still do a really good job because Bob is, and he doesn't have a female body, okay, and he doesn't want
Right.
to have a baby, but you can be just as competent as your male colleague. You're just
Mm-hmm.
going to turn that nurturing female energy back towards yourself. So where
Yeah.
Bob would say to the guy, "Hey, good luck, you can do it. Go on." And we're like doing the extra things for them. You just say, you can do it. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're busy. You've got your own thing. You're going to go home and have some ice cream, and you're going to put your feet up, and you're going to rest instead of thinking about the new trainee. So,
Yes. Yes.
just like Bob's going to go home and play golf or do whatever they do. So, that's the thing. There's that difference that you want to see, that you, instead of being that female professional that in that way, you're going to act more like your male colleague, but that female energy back to yourself because you're in a nesting
Yes.
phase. And until you have the baby bump,
I love
people are
that.
still going to treat you the same, but you want to act like you have the baby bump. Because as soon as they see that baby bump, they're like, oh my gosh, no, you go home. Okay, you take a break.
Yeah. It's true.
They give you all
Yeah.
sorts of extra time, and you want to act as if you're already in that. Because remember, the conception of the baby is the thought in your mind. And from that thought in your mind, you enter that baby zone because you say, yes,
Mm,
yes, I'm going to do this. And from
yeah.
that point, you're thinking of positive reinforcement, support. You know it's going to happen, and you're raising your energy to match it, to meet it, to be there. And but you're nesting too, because an animal that gets that thought in their mind, like, uh-oh, I gotta have a baby, they start to look for a den. They start to get quieter. They're not out as much. There
Yeah.
was that movie, The Octopus Teacher. I don't know if you saw it. It
Oh
was,
yeah, it's so amazing.
and remember when she starts to change her habits and he can't find her, it's because she's nesting. She's going to have a baby and she doesn't come out as much. She's changed her
Yeah.
habits entirely. So, as a professional woman, you want to see how you want to shift your habits from just, maybe ones that are stressful or not thinking of yourself. You got to shift it to nesting. And then you want to also, that's how you become a medium better, channel the spirit in, because the body has to open up. The body, unless you're a professional actor where you're used to
Hmm.
opening yourself up to spirit, to another character, we're closed down. So you have to show the body
Right.
we're safe and you can trust me, because you're going to open your body up to this new spirit coming through. And I have a 20-year-old and he's still so in my body. You know what I mean? You're going to
Yeah.
share your body with this soul forever. And
Forever.
so this is a
Yeah.
big thing you're asking your body to do, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And the male in the relationship, the dad, has a big role too. But for some reason, us as the mom, we've got the biggest job. So I usually work with the women in my programs, and sometimes we'll do couples sessions too. Uh, but
Amazing.
I have same-sex couples, and women that aren't with anyone, and they're just doing
Yes, me too.
it's just
Same.
fine.
Yeah.
It's a miracle. When that IVF baby's where you're like, oh my gosh, what a miracle.
It
Yeah.
truly is such a miracle, and it's amazing that we do live at a time that we have these available options. And
Yes.
I just love, like, even with same-sex couples with women, how
Yes.
one will carry the other one's egg,
Yes.
and it's really an
It's
incredible thing that
very,
people are able to
yeah.
access. For sure,
Yeah.
no doubt. So for people who do want to work with you, like, how can they work with you, and how can they find you?
Well, I have a website that's my name, toriquisling.com. And I do a program where I start with a 20-minute free clarity session where I just find out all about your baby journey and give you some psychic insights right away, and even some solutions, some things to change your mindset, make you feel more hopeful. Because a lot of times women will contact me and they've lost hope. And I'll just give them a new way to think of it right away, some hope and excitement. And if you sign up with me,
That's gold.
yeah, I have a 4-session program, an 8-session program, and a 12-session program. And often my ladies will start with the 4 session because we just really want to get into it. And then we extend to more if it's still going. But the first one's a nice long discovery reading session. And sometimes grandmothers will come in and, supportive spirits. So it's mediumship, it's spiritual connection and communication. And um, I make sure that the woman I'm working with really remembers who they are and their purpose, so they don't lose sight of this, because that child
Yeah.
that comes through is going to want a childhood, and they're living their life as the full adult. So then connecting with the baby spirit. So we go to the fence of the playground, and I introduce that in the slide and how it works. And then I have a book and a workbook that goes with everything we do. And the second session is the RTT session, the 2-hour session, to
Mhm.
really go in and see what the delay is or what the block is. We've gone to all different places in childhood and reasons, and that's a real clearing and clarifying. And then there's a audio to listen to for 3 weeks with that. And then we do mother contract, see where you are with your mom, and then female creative energy, and then we see if we want to do more. So it's
Awesome.
very comprehensive and customized. very much. Yeah, everyone's got a different
Yeah,
situation.
that's a key word because it really is. Yeah, everybody's so different. Well,
Yes.
Tori, I could sit and talk to you for hours
I
because
need
this topic
to.
fascinates me. I mean, it's so interesting and you're so interesting to listen to. And I
Uh,
love how you describe everything because you've said a couple of, and I've talked to a lot of people, you've
yeah.
said a couple of things that I have not heard of before. And I love how you put it, about the nesting and just really revisiting the way we approach or look at things. And I think it's so important. Sometimes something as little as tweaking your perspective can make huge atomic changes. So
Yes.
thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. Anytime I can talk about babies and fertility and energy, I love it.
So that concludes today's episode. You can find all of the links mentioned on the episode notes. If you're enjoying these episodes, please take a moment to share and leave a review. Reviews mean everything to podcasters, and I really enjoy hearing from my listeners. You can also find me on my website at www.thewholesomelotus.com or email me at info@thewholesomelotus.com. I love hearing from my listeners. If you're interested and want updates as well as a free ebook on my top 10 fertility boosting habits, you can visit my fertility page on www.thewholesomelotus.com. I thank you so much for listening in and hope that you have a beautiful day.